Why on earth is she here? On my way home, I was passing through a deserted park when I heard what sounded like a cat's meow coming from a trash can. Thinking someone might have played a prank and trapped it inside, I gently peered in. To my shock, I found my 3-month-old daughter there. She was supposed to be at home with my husband. In a panic, I called him, and he calmly lied, saying, "The baby's taking a nap." I couldn't believe he would abandon our own child. Furious, I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. I'm Monica, 30 years old. I was swept off my feet by Ben, the son of my company's president, who pursued me relentlessly. We married after a whirlwind 3-month courtship, and I became a full-time housewife to support him. My husband was so kind when we were dating and newlyweds. His parents welcomed me warmly, and I was living a blissful life. However, as time passed, Ben's true nature, which I hadn't seen while dating, began to surface. About 6 months into our marriage, I joyfully discovered I was pregnant. We had been talking about wanting children soon, so I eagerly shared the news with Ben. "Really? It must be a boy," he exclaimed. "We don't know yet. I'll be happy with either, as long as the baby's healthy," I replied. "No, the baby in your belly is definitely a boy." Ben was thrilled about the pregnancy, but he had always strongly desired a son. For some reason, he became fixated on the idea that our baby was male. From that point on, Ben started telling his parents and coworkers that we were having a son. He chose a boy's name, bought boys' clothes, and kept pushing his assumptions further. I grew worried about his behavior. A few months later, at a checkup, we finally learned the baby's sex. "Honey, it's a girl," I told him. "What? Why a girl?" "I said I wanted a boy," he retorted. "We can't choose the sex, dear." "But she's growing well and will be adorable," I tried to reassure him. "That doesn't matter. You must not have taken proper care of yourself, that's why it's not a boy." I'd never heard that a pregnant woman's lifestyle could determine the baby's sex. But Ben irrationally blamed me for not having his desired son. No matter how hard I tried, there was no way I could have controlled the baby's gender. His claims were nonsensical, but I was too shocked by his harsh words to respond. I began to worry if Ben would love our daughter when she was born. For the first time, I felt anxious about our future together. After learning we were having a girl, Ben's attitude toward me noticeably cooled. "We're supposed to go shopping for baby things today. Remember?" I reminded him one day. "Oh, I'm not in the mood." "Let's skip it," he replied dismissively. But we've had this planned. This wasn't the first time he had canceled our baby-related outings. When he thought we were having a boy, he was so eager to prepare everything. Now that we knew it was a girl, he showed no interest at all. When Ben finally came home that evening, he casually asked, "I'm home." "Man, I'm starving." "What's for dinner?" "It'll be ready soon." "Please be patient," I replied, unable to hide my irritation at his nonchalant attitude after breaking our plans yet again. "What's with that tone?" he snapped. Nothing, I muttered. You're getting lippy. Who do you think pays for everything around here? Angered, Ben shoved me. I never expected him to get physical. With my growing belly affecting my balance, I fell backward, landing hard on my bottom. I was shocked by his actions and worried about the baby. I curled up, clutching my stomach and feeling pain in my lower back. Ouch! I whimpered. I'm sorry. Work's been so stressful lately, I just lost it for a moment. It won't happen again, I promise, Ben apologized profusely. He helped me up, settled me on the sofa, brought me a warm drink, and covered me with a blanket. It had been a while since he'd been so kind. Thank you. I'm okay now, I assured him. Seeing this side of him again, I thought maybe it really was just stress and decided to forgive him. Soon after, I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. I named her Emma, and she grew steadily. As I had feared during my pregnancy, Ben showed no interest in our daughter. I found it disappointing but hoped that as Emma grew, his paternal instincts would kick in. One day, as I was busy caring for Emma, my mother called with alarming news. She had been in an accident and needed to be hospitalized. My father had passed away years ago, and Mom lived alone with no relatives nearby. Though her life wasn't in danger, I was worried and decided to visit her immediately. However, Mom lived far away, requiring a full day's travel. I hesitated to bring my 3-month-old daughter on such a long trip. When I told Ben about visiting my mother, he showed no interest in coming along. I was anxious about leaving Emma, but I had no choice but to entrust her to Ben. Remember how I showed you to prepare her formula? I've left notes if you forget anything, I reminded him. It's just one day. You'd better hurry, or you'll miss your bus, he replied dismissively. At first, Ben looked visibly annoyed when I asked him to take care of Emma. But after I repeatedly asked him to be more involved in childcare, he seemed to understand. He started showing initiative in learning about bottles and diapers. I left home that morning with a glimmer of hope that this might be an opportunity for Ben to grow as a father. After a long journey, I reunited with my mother. She looked better than I had feared, which was a relief. After helping with her hospital admission, it was too late to return home, so I stayed the night at her house. I had planned to see Mom again in the morning before leaving, but she called early, insisting I should return home sooner for Emma's sake. I was worried about Emma too, so even though I had told Ben I'd be back in the evening, I decided to take the first train home. Eager to see Emma, I walked briskly towards our house. As I passed through the usually quiet park near our home, I heard what sounded like a baby crying. I looked around but saw no one, not even passers-by. It must be my imagination, I thought. There's no way a baby would be here. It's probably just a kitten. Still, I couldn't shake my unease, so I entered the park to investigate. Following the sound, I realized it was coming from inside a trash can. Did someone play a cruel prank? I wondered, feeling sorry for whatever was trapped inside. I opened the lid, intending to help. But what I found wasn't a cat. Why on earth is she here? I cried out in disbelief. It was my daughter, Emma. Panicking but acting quickly, I lifted Emma out of the trash can. She had been crying intensely, but as I held her, she gradually calmed down and even began to smile at me. I sighed with relief, thankful she seemed unharmed. But how did this happen? She was supposed to be at home with Ben. I hurriedly called my husband. "How's Emma doing?" I asked. "She's napping now, no problems," he lied smoothly. I could hardly believe what I was hearing, but I managed to end the call normally. Ben had no idea I had changed my plans and was already near home. He thought there was no way I could know about Emma, so he lied without hesitation. Hearing those words from my husband, I felt my trust and love for him crumble away. Ben had always strongly desired a son. Since Emma's birth, I had never seen him show any affection towards her. I had hoped paternal feelings would develop over time, but it seemed my wishes had fallen on deaf ears. How could he abandon his own child? It's unforgivable. I decided then and there to get revenge on the husband who had put our precious daughter through such a terrible ordeal. But what should I do now? It felt dangerous to take Emma back to the house with Ben. After some thought, I decided to take a taxi with Emma to a certain place. That night, I returned home at the originally planned time. As I opened the front door, I heard Ben running frantically from the back of the apartment. It's terrible. I dozed off for a bit, and when I woke up, Emma was gone. "She must have been kidnapped," he exclaimed. "Oh no. We should go to the police right away." I played along. "The police? Isn't it too soon for that?" Ben visibly panicked at the mention of police involvement. When I pretended to call the authorities on my phone, he hastily knocked it out of my hand. Ben's face was contorted with fear, his breathing ragged. Seeing his clearly suspicious behavior, I steeled myself and confronted him directly. "Did you take Emma somewhere?" I demanded. "What? You're suspecting me?" he sputtered. "Well, if Emma might have been kidnapped, isn't it odd that you haven't called the police yet?" Cornered by the truth, Ben flew into a rage. "I did it to test your trust in me." "Just as I thought, you don't trust me at all." He began berating me furiously. "What? That makes no sense. What does that have to do with Emma? Tell me, where did you take her?" I glared at him. Ben's angry expression softened into a smirk. "Too bad for you. I threw your precious child in the trash can at the park." "What did you say? Are you out of your mind?" I gasped. "Of course I am. By now, she's probably been taken far away or become food for crows." "That's horrible. Is that how a father acts?" "Shut up. It's your fault for not giving birth to a boy like I told you to." Ben admitted to being the culprit but still tried to shift the blame onto me. Seeing my husband's ugly nature, committing such a terrible act and then trying to blame others, I couldn't contain my anger any longer. "I'm going to the police," I declared. "Ha! Go ahead and try. You're the one who'll be in trouble. You're just a housewife. How will you survive without me? That doesn't matter. I can't live with someone who would do this to our precious Emma. I told you, it's your fault for not giving birth to a boy. You disappointed my parents who wanted an heir and made me lose face. I was dumbfounded by Ben's selfish reasoning. Listen, you just need to do as I say. Forget about Emma and hurry up and have a boy next time. Ben sneered at me with a smug expression. I glared back at him, seething with frustration. Just then, the front door opened. To our surprise, Ben's parents stood there, holding Emma. Ben's eyes widened in shock at the sudden appearance of his parents and the daughter he thought he had discarded. He began sweating profusely and backing away. After finding Emma in the park and ending the call with Ben, I had actually taken a taxi to his parents' house. I happened to find Emma and rescue her. I've informed your parents about what happened, I explained. Ben's parents have been listening to his tirade from outside the apartment. What were you thinking, abandoning your own child? Ben's father bellowed. You seemed obsessed with having a male heir, but if you think being a man automatically qualifies you to take over, you're dead wrong. You're fired. Wait, please. Ben pleaded. I'm canceling all plans for you to become the next president. We're cutting ties as parent and child too. Don't ever come back to our house. Ben, who always acted confident and arrogant in front of me and at work, could never stand up to his strict father. Faced with his father's wrath, Ben could only tremble and cry. This apartment is in my name, so get out immediately. I added. Wait, please. Are you abandoning me too? Ben, who had lost his job and been disowned by his parents, now prostrated himself before me, begging for forgiveness despite having berated me earlier. Please, forgive me. I promise I'll take good care of Emma from now on. What are you saying now? You abandoned your own child just because she wasn't a boy. I was wrong. But now that I don't need to worry about an heir, it'll be fine. Look, I'll take care of the baby mainly, so you can work outside if you want. Don't be ridiculous. I will never forgive you. I never want to see your face again. I looked down at Ben coldly as I spoke. Then, I took out the divorce papers I had prepared in advance and thrust them at him. Denied his last hope, Ben wailed pathetically. He resisted for a while but, under pressure from his parents, eventually signed the papers. With slumped shoulders, he packed his things and left. Our divorce was finalized soon after. I demanded $20,000 in compensation and $100,000 in child support from Ben. His parents apparently paid on his behalf initially, and now Ben lives in a rundown apartment, working day and night at physical labor jobs to repay them. Emma and I moved back to my hometown to be with my mother. She has recovered and been discharged from the hospital, and the three of us are living happily together. I still keep in touch with Ben's parents, who visit regularly, much to Emma's delight. We're all committed to showering Emma with love and ensuring her happiness.